Have you ever heard of a conqueror who, instead of seeking revenge, showed incredible mercy to his defeated enemies? A leader whose name became a legend, not just for his military genius, but for his unwavering sense of justice and honor. Today we re-diving into the incredible story of one of history's most remarkable figures, Salahuddin Ayyubi, known in the West as Saladin. His legacy is not just one of victory, but of a profound humanity that continues to inspire people of all faiths. Who was this man who would change the course of history in the Middle East? Born in 1137 in Tikrit, in modern-day Iraq, Salahuddin was of Kurdish heritage. He wasn't born into royalty, but into a family known for its military service. His father and uncle were respected commanders, and from a young age, Salahuddin was immersed in a world of strategy, governance, and Islamic scholarship. He wasn't initially eager for a military life. He was known as a quiet, scholarly young man who preferred studying the Quran to the art of war. But destiny, as it often does, had other plans for him. His journey to greatness began in Egypt. He accompanied his uncle Shirkuh on several military campaigns there. These expeditions were complex, filled with shifting alliances and political intrigue. It was here, in the crucible of real-world conflict, that Salahuddin's natural talents for leadership and military strategy began to shine. He learned to navigate treacherous political landscapes and command the respect of his soldiers. When his uncle passed away, Salahuddin, still a relatively young man, was appointed as the vizier of Egypt. Many thought he would be easy to manipulate, but they severely underestimated him. He quickly consolidated his power, reformed the economy, and strengthened the military, laying the foundation for the powerful Ayyubid dynasty he would soon establish. His ultimate goal, however, lay beyond Egypt. It was a dream that burned in the heart of the Muslim world at the time: the liberation of Jerusalem. For nearly a century, the Holy City had been under the control of the Crusader states, established by European knights during the First Crusade. The capture of the city in 1099 had been a brutal and violent affair, a historical wound that had never truly healed. Salahuddin saw it as his sacred duty to restore Jerusalem to Muslim rule. But he knew that a divided Muslim world could never achieve this. So his first major task was unification. Over 2 decades, through a combination of brilliant diplomacy and decisive military action, he brought the disparate Muslim territories of Syria, northern Mesopotamia, and parts of North Africa under his single unified leadership. He created a powerful and cohesive force, all aligned towards one monumental purpose. With his empire united, the stage was set for the final confrontation. The turning point came in 1187 at the Battle of Hattin. It was a masterclass in military strategy. Salahuddin cleverly lured the Crusader army, led by Guy de Lusignan, the king of Jerusalem, into a dry, arid landscape, far from any source of water. He then set fire to the dry grass, the smoke and heat adding to the Crusaders' misery. Exhausted, dehydrated, and demoralized, the Crusader army was completely encircled. The battle was a decisive victory for Salahuddin. The backbone of the Crusader military power in the region was broken, and the path to Jerusalem was now open. Just a few months later, Salahuddin's forces stood before the walls of Jerusalem. The city's defenders, knowing what had happened at Hattin, feared the worst. They remembered the stories of the brutal sack of the city by the first Crusaders 88 years earlier. They expected a bloodbath, a cycle of revenge. But what happened next would cement Salahuddin's legacy forever. He did not want a violent conquest. He offered the city generous terms of surrender. After negotiations, it was agreed that the inhabitants could ransom themselves for a small fee. Those who couldn't afford it were supposed to be enslaved. But what did Salahuddin do? He was so moved by the plight of the poor that he, his brother, and his commanders used their own money to pay the ransom for thousands of people. He even provided escorts to ensure the safe passage of the departing Christians to the coast. He allowed the Eastern Orthodox Christians to remain and guaranteed the safety of all holy sites. This act of mercy stands in stark contrast to the violence that had characterized much of the Crusades. It wasn't weakness. It was a profound demonstration of strength, confidence, and adherence to his Islamic faith, which taught compassion even to one's enemies. Chronicles from both Muslim and Christian sources of the time marveled at his chivalry and magnanimity. He became a figure of immense respect, even among his adversaries. The fall of Jerusalem triggered the Third Crusade, bringing Europe's most powerful monarchs to the Holy Land, including the legendary Richard the Lionheart of England. The rivalry between Salahuddin and Richard is one of history's most fascinating chapters. They were fierce opponents on the battlefield, each a brilliant military commander in his own right. Yet, they developed a unique, chivalrous respect for one another. There's a famous story that during one battle, Richard lost his horse. When Salahuddin heard of this, he sent 2 fresh mounts to his rival, stating that it was not fitting for such a great king to fight on foot. Another time, when Richard fell ill with a fever, Salahuddin sent him fresh fruit, snow from the mountains to cool his fever, and his own personal physicians. They were enemies, but they recognized the honor and valor in each other. After years of grueling warfare, both sides were exhausted. In 1192, Salahuddin and Richard negotiated the Treaty of Ramla. Jerusalem would remain under Muslim control, but Christian pilgrims would be granted safe and free access to their holy sites. It was a pragmatic and humane solution that brought an end to the Third Crusade. Salahuddin had achieved his life's goal not just through force, but through a wisdom that sought peace where possible. Sadly, Salahuddin did not live long to enjoy the peace he had forged. He passed away just a few months later, in 1193 in Damascus. When his treasury was opened, his officials were shocked to find there was barely enough money to pay for his funeral. He had given away his immense wealth to his subjects, to the poor, and to charitable causes. He died not as a rich king, but as a humble servant of his people and his faith. So, what is the legacy of Salahuddin? He was more than a conqueror. He was a unifier, a just ruler, a brilliant strategist, and a man of profound mercy. He demonstrated that true leadership isn't just about winning battles, but about how you treat people, your friends, and your enemies. His story teaches us about the power of justice, the importance of unity, and the incredible strength found in compassion. In a world often divided by conflict, the legend of Salahuddin, the merciful leader who liberated Jerusalem, remains a timeless and powerful beacon of hope and chivalry. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. If you found this story as inspiring as I do, please hit that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of history's most fascinating figures. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.